Aloha. It's a beautiful Friday morning here
Mm-hmm.
in the Aloha State. I'm here with my colleague, George, and we're going to start with part 4 of the Makahiki walkthrough. So let's go on to the agenda. We've gone through quite a bit of this at this point. We haven't done the database schema,
Right.
but we have basically gone through all of the directory structures. And so we now kind of have covered the whole the whole project, the whole system at a high level. And so what remains is basically the last 3 bullets, is actually looking at code, actually looking at the database schema structure, and then going through some use cases. So today I think we're probably going to look at some code and do kind of a depth first, take a specific kind of functionality,
Right.
which George, I know he's been spending a lot of time thinking about which thing he's going to choose for today. So I'm excited to find out the decision.
Well, I don't know. Like I was initially thinking about quests because there's a little bit of everything in there. But then I was thinking, on the one hand, like activities was the thing I didn't want to delve into because it's really complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
But at the same time, we're doing a screencast. It's probably the best time for like someone like me to be able to like walk you through the activities and stuff and the way like everything works in there.
Well, why don't we do both? Why don't we do quests? Maybe we'll do quests today, and then we'll do activities the next time.
Okay.
And then that might help in terms of once we've seen quests, there'll be less to, you can kind of do a diff with activities.
Right.
And then once we've done those 2, then we would go to the use case in the database structure. So,
sure.
Okay, that seems like a good way to go. So we'll get rid of PowerPoint, and we'll go into the PyDev. So where would you like me? How should we do this? Tell me where to go.
Let's just go to components.quests. So
Okay.
there.
So let's go. We can actually even go into. All right. So we see management, migration, templates, tests, and then top level stuff.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that in a lot of these components, I notice there's an admin, models, URLs, and views.py. So is that a Django kind of thing that we should be aware of?
Yes. So is to explain each of these folders. We'll start with like admin is if you want something to be registered in the admin interface, you want to have an admin.py for your component.
Okay.
So there's some code in there to like register the quest component instead of the admin.
Okay, let's just look at it. So,
Okay.
What the heck? Okay, so here we are.
It's thinking.
We're hoping. Come on, PyDev. There we go. All right. So,
Well, let's go all the way to the bottom because that's like the most straightforward part. Is that so at the very bottom, like there's this admin object that you can import, and just like the basic thing, if you want to add something to admin interface, you do like an admin.site.register, and then the model that you're registering, which is in this case quest.
okay. And then the second argument is a quest admin.
So it's optional, but so like the most basic is just quest.
Okay.
So now we're going to do some customization. So we're going to provide like a custom quest admin thing.
I see.
So the quest admin is defined like right above it, and so we just want to do some like setup. So like the admin like has this thing for like, so we have like a slug field for quests, and we want that thing to be like based off of the name of the quest. So that's what the pre-populated field says. It's just like, it fills out the slug based on the name, and you can pass it additional things.
I see. Okay.
The list display, like by default, you can display all the fields of the quest, but you probably only want to show like a certain subset. So when you're looking at the list, like you can just like this one just says you're just going to show like the name of the quest, the level, when it was created, and when it was updated.
Okay.
And then finally, like when you're editing or creating new quests, you have a form like that you use, and so you can use the default. There's one by default, or you can customize that.
I see.
So
Okay.
now going back up to the top, right? This is the Quest admin form. So it's a model form, so it's based off of a model. So the first thing we do is like we attach a model to it.
Okay.
So that's what that class meta model equals Quest. So the way like forms in Django work, there's a lot of like when you look at the documentation, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the background, like when it does like cleaning of the different fields and such.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually is an override for the field unlock conditions.
Okay.
And so we're going to clean that. We're going to clean being like validate it in a certain way. And so this is some customized code that evaluates the quests. For those of you who don't know, like quests have this thing where like we evaluate some Python to see if it's unlocked or not, right?
Right.
And so part of the validation in this is actually like executing that.
The process condition string?
Yeah, the unlock conditions.
Right.
So we just pick a user, just like take all of the users, pick the first one. We try to evaluate the condition string using that. Using the unlock conditions for this quest.
Okay.
And then apply it to a user. And then we check if like there's a exception that comes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like we expect it to return true or false. So if it doesn't return true or false, it's invalid.
Okay.
And so yeah, if there's an error, you get you raise that validation error. Otherwise, if everything's okay, you just do return data at the very end.
Okay.
And so it's the same thing with completion conditions. We have some. It's a similar thing where you're doing process conditions to evaluate the completion conditions and see if it comes back true or false.
Okay. So that's the admin interface.
Yep. In a nutshell.
I wonder if, let's see, how easy would it be for us to bring up that admin interface?
Well, wait, you're using this. This is PyDev, right?
No, not inside PyDev. We'll just do it at the command line.
Okay.
You know, because what the heck. So if I go to Makahiki, well, if I maybe CD, that would probably help. Makahiki, and then
you need to activate your virtual environment.
Oh, thank you. So that's
work on
Makahiki.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you do Python manage.py run server, all one word. Thinking.
Okay, 0 errors. Okay, so now we can go to here, and we can go to here, and okay, but really where we want to go is like the admin interface. Right. So I'll type in admin. Darn.
You don't have Flash. You don't have staff. Wait, who are you? Go back. Oh.
Wait, darn it.
I guess you're.
I'm logged in as PMJ. Oh, I'm logged in as PMJ. Maybe I should log out.
Maybe in the fixtures you don't have. Yeah, let's use my account just to be safe.
Okay, so I'm logged out. So if I go to admin,
I will log in.
Okay.
Because it might be like you requested to be a user, so you are a user.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Okay, so that's an interesting. Here we just thought of something, which is in the fixtures. Let's see. So in fixtures, or in the, I don't know what's the setup, the default data set, or the configuration file, how to provide yourself with admin privileges. Since obviously I don't.
Well, I mean, this is a weird thing where like you were in the fixtures as.
I was in the sample
user.
data.
Yeah, and then one of the steps is to create a super user, which should automatically like have access to the admin.
Right.
But yeah, I guess it doesn't throw an error if it's like if that user was already in the database, or maybe it was dependent on the order, so it got overwritten. Or something. So. It's
well, we did set up that test user with super privileges.
Right.
So I could have logged in as that person, but not using CAS, right?
Right.
Maybe we should I log out and show how to do, Can I log out and you show me how to log in using that alternative pathway, just so we can, for future reference?
Have to, yeah, okay.
Okay. Did you remember?
No, I wonder if I disabled it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what happens. So if I go to admin login or something, or how do you get to that other backdoor?
It's account/login.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I think it's no longer.
Account cache login. Okay, so.
That's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. Okay, so this is kind of a mystery. Oh, I'm still in.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when
Oh,
you
there's a
log out
cookie
to
or something?
when you log out to the admin, it doesn't log out your CAS.
Oh, okay. Okay, well.
Yeah, let's just go through it.
Let's just go through it. Okay, so popping up a few stacks, we want to go to quests.
Yep.
So here's our quest thing.
Uh-huh. And so you see, like I had that list display, so it was name, level, created that, and updated that.
Right, and then we can click this, and presumably, and so this is the form.
Right.
That it's going to automatically display, and you've kind of specified what. Yeah, this is groovy. So you've got that little piece of code, and it takes care of all the user interface like junk. Okay.
There's some things, like you see the little help text under some of the fields. That's actually part of the model definition that we'll look at later on.
Okay. Okay. Rockin'. Okay. I like it. And then let's see. We'll go. So anyway. Okay. So that was the admin thing, and so. I guess you can go look at the actual form. You can go look at this code and eventually suss it out. Okay, so that's admin.py. What should we look at next?
So let's look at the models.
Okay.
This is the nitty-gritty, the underlying data for everything.
Okay.
So some imports, some constants just for convenience. And so we're going to create our models. So the first thing is our quest model inherits from a models object in Django. So here we just specify like a list of fields. That's the first thing we're doing. So the name is going to be a character field. It has a max length of 255 characters. And a little text that you saw in the admin interface, that's the help text parameter that's right after that. And so quest slug, there's actually a built-in Django field called slug field, which is useful if you when it goes into the database, it automatically does an index over the slug field.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So,
and that gets used as the URL also?
Right.
Okay.
So we have, so the next one is description, which is just a generic text field of arbitrary length. Level is just an integer. The unlock and completion conditions are just implemented as additional text fields, so they just appear as you can just put in any text into there, except that it has to validate through the admin interface that we saw before.
Okay.
So a user can have many quests. They can participate in many quests. So there's a many-to-many field, and then we have our created at and updated at, which are date time things.
Okay.
And so created at, the first parameter, auto add, just means that it will only be changed when it's created.
Okay.
And then versus the updated at, which is always going to be changed when it's saved. So
I see.
right. So
Yeah.
it continuously changes. And the editable false just means it doesn't show up in the admin interface.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't want the created ad.
Okay. It won't even be displayed as read-only.
Well, not in the admin form.
Not in the admin
You
form.
can show it
Not in the admin form. Right.
Doesn't make
Okay.
any sense.
Okay. Yep, I agree. Okay.
All right. So Unicode is this, I guess it's like a Python thing. It's like a string representation of the object.
Okay.
But it's used in what's it called? In the list display, when you if by default it will show the names of the objects, and it would be totally useless because it would just say quest object or something. Right.
Right.
And so we're providing it a name here, which is just the name of the
Nice.
quest.
Okay. It's like the toString method in Java.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So here we have just some methods for this object. So we check if like a user can add this quest. And so we're just processing the condition string for the unlock conditions against this user. If the user completed this quest, which is a similar thing.
If the user can add the quest. So if the user can add the quest, what that means is that it'll be displayed in the user interface.
Right. It's unlocked for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, completed quest is just if they completed it.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then we got this accept method, which is what's supposed to happen in the case that the user indicates that they want to do it. Okay. And so how could the user accept a quest that they can't add? I thought the quest would only be displayed to the user if it was possible to accept it.
Right, but I mean, there's like URL hacks and stuff like that.
Okay, so this is all right. All right, so no, all right. So that's the idea of this.
Yeah,
is
just to
bulletproof
make
the code. Okay, and make okay. So again, this is something that should never occur in practice, but
right. And
let's just be.
Yeah, and the second check is also to see like if the user already accepted this quest, you're not going to accept them again.
Right.
So.
Okay. Okay. Interesting semantics here. It would seem to me if they've already accepted it and they do accept again, that it's okay to, that would return true. It's accepted, but whichever. It doesn't, Okay, and then opt out. Right. So that's the kind of the hide command in the user interface, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's well, not a hide. We had this idea of like. If you didn't want to do a quest, you didn't want to. It was hide.
Whatever it's called.
Hide, yeah.
I don't know if it's hide or don't show this again or
it's
something.
probably like don't show this again.
Okay. Now we've got an interesting PyDev problem here.
Yeah.
Created.
Which is frustrating because.
Unused variable created.
Because so that method, I'm using a shortcut here, like a Django shortcut called. So quest member is the object that will is a class that we'll get into later on.
Okay.
Objects. So I'm using a shortcut called get or create, and it's basically if the object exists in the database, we're going to get it.
Okay.
If it doesn't exist, we're going to create it based on the parameters that are there. And so it actually returns two things. It returns the member, the quest member that was either gotten or created, and it returns a Boolean created, which is true or false. But it's just that. So I take those two parameters, but I don't care what happens to created because it doesn't matter.
So this is a Python question for me.
Yeah.
So if a Python method can return multiple values, do you have to supply multiple variables to receive each of those?
I'm pretty sure you do.
Just out of grins, let's see what happens if I do that. Does it go away? Come on.
Well, I guess it does go away.
Of course, that doesn't mean that it won't be illegal.
Is it like resolved in like the?
Okay, so at any rate, you create. I guess save is when it tries to think about stuff here. Yeah. But you do create this variable that you never use, which I guess was your point. You were just.
Yeah, I need to accept it, but I'm just going.
Or you think you need to accept it?
Yeah, I think I need to accept it.
Yeah. Well, just out of curiosity.
I would think that I would have.
Python. How could we figure this out the fastest? Python, multiple, return values. How do you return multiple?
Ignore multiple. Oh, there's a second one.
There we go.
Is it underscore?
For the elements of the tuple. Oh. So apparently it does think that.
You need to accept it somehow.
Yes.
Or you can.
You could. That's even better. This should be the accepted answer. This sucks because you have to call func multiple times. Why would you have to call func multiple times? This guy's an idiot. This guy's an idiot. He thinks that you're going to call this way and then you're going to call this. When really what you do is you just, if you wanted multiple values,
like the first answer, like he uses a slice, so that's like the elements from 2 to 4.
Right.
So that's like what you would do is like you probably do a slice from 0 to 1 if you wanted both
right,
of them.
right. Using Python 3, which we don't care about. So you can do things like,
this like object or tuple.
Okay, x underscore hideous. Hideous.
Hideous. Oh,
Hideous. I mean, that to me seems like the most kind of we don't want to.
Oh, but I guess in some like the underscore comes from like I guess like Prolog even like use like for some people have like familiarity with the underscore variable, meaning discard this thing. So
the underscore variable, it's very obvious that you're ignoring a value. I wonder if what would happen if we used an underscore here? Is PyDev good enough?
Wait, is this about it? No, I guess so.
So PyDev is smart enough to realize you're using a convention to.
Cool.
Okay, so in fact, you even had a comment here.
Right.
To say you were ignoring that second argument. Right. Okay, so I guess for. Let's see. So possible coding standard, use underscore for variables receiving an unused value from a function that returns multiple values. Are we okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice little convention, and it's pretty kind of, once you know it, it's very readable.
Right.
I guess unlike the little zero, the indexing thing afterwards,
right,
which is a little less, probably Python people will trip over that one a little bit more than this kind of situation. I still don't like the fact that PyDev didn't signal an error when we just removed the function altogether, or moved the variable reference altogether.
Right.
That seems suspicious to you.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe it's legal syntax. Maybe the problem is if you only wanted like the third return value, you know, it might return all the remainders, but it doesn't satisfy the general case of, you know, I just need the third one, which this one would handle. Okay. All right. So quest member.
Yeah, so you can have, like, when you set up the many-to-many field in Quest that we had, like, for between Quest and user, it can automatically generate like a join table, like the table between them.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, we want to add additional fields, so we're going to create like a custom Quest member thing. So the first two things are straightforward. One is the Quest and one is the user. The next fields are, we want to know if the quest is completed or not. So by default, it's going to be false. We want to know if the user opted out of the quest, and also that default is false.
Okay.
And then we have like our standard created at and updated at fields. Note that this, like, when we looked at admin.py, this class was not mentioned there, because we're not going to edit this in the admin interface. It makes no sense.
I agree. Okay. Class meta. Tell me about that.
So meta is like a way to, like, Django uses it to like have like additional attributes. So we saw the like in the case of a form in the admin interface, like the class meta was to attach like attach that model form to a class, which was Quest. So in this case, we're providing an additional information that we want the Quest member to be unique by two different keys. In this case, the two, like the user and the quest. So user can't have the same quest multiple times, and a quest can't have the same user multiple times.
Okay. Okay, and there we go. There, we're done with
Right.
model
I guess
stuff.
we can talk about the save method, like the last part.
There is no last part.
The save method.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Okay.
And that's so when you so this is like when you're saving to the database, so we're just providing like a custom save method. In this case, there's like a we have these points, these my achievements log. And so that's based off of this points transaction thing that's in the profile. And so we're going to create a log entry there of 0 points because quests aren't worth any points.
Right.
So yeah, if this thing is completed, we're going to construct like the message to display, and then we'll add the points, which is 0. We're going to set that log to be, today, the time it's being saved.
Right.
And then the message. And then there's another parameter for like if there's like a related object for for this log message, which is the quest member object itself.
Right. Right. Good. Okay. I get it.
Right.
Okay. So what's next?
Let's see. Let's go into views.
Okay.
So this is an interesting thing. Like components, like we said, they're not like top level pages, so they don't have like. There's no like quest page in the system.
Right.
So you would typically not have a views component in like for a component, I guess. But in this case, like since quests are like everywhere, and we need, like I guess like form submissions, like you need to be able to accept a quest through a URL. You need to be able to opt out. So this views method is just the except like that like back end part of adding, removing quests. So yeah, the first one is just accepting. We're going to take a request object, which is always passed to a view function by Django, and then we're going to take a slug object, which is the slug of this is a string, which is the slug of the quest we're looking for.
Okay.
And so we're going to that method in accept, we're going to check if it's a post method. We look up this refer string because once you submit that, we want to take you back to the page you were at. So we use the refer. We're going to take off like if there are any query parameters at the end. That line quest, we're going to get the object quest, right? And we're going to get an object, and we're going to get it based on its slug. And this is a Django shortcut. Instead of like asking the quest object directly, I'm using this shortcut to say, try getting this object. If it doesn't exist, we're going to raise a 404 exception.
Okay. But that shouldn't happen.
Well, right, except if somebody like, URL hacks.
Right. Okay.
So then we just 404.
Yeah.
Right, and then we check if the user can add the quest. And then we create the member object.
Okay.
And then we redirect.
And then we go back to wherever we were.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And if it wasn't a post, we're just going to raise a 404 because this doesn't do any like get.
Okay. Okay. And then this is the same thing to process the opt out. Right. Because clicking on those buttons to opt out or accept a quest basically generates a post.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Catching up slowly. Got just an example of another one of those that PyDev is telling us we should convert to an underscore. And then cancel. Okay. All right. Awesome. That's views. Very straightforward.
Yeah.
Next.
So URLs. This is the next one.
Okay.
So we looked at the top level URLs.py, and there are a lot of fields that said like include URLs from another.
Oh, okay. And this is one of those.
And so this is one of those.
Nice.
And so this is just just
enables us to specify the URLs that are generated by those buttons in the Quest interface. Okay.
So I think the prefix already in that top level urls.py is like quest, so we don't have to repeat that. So this is like quest slash, and then it's a regular expression. So the first part is the slug of the quest.
Okay.
We're going to take that, and then the next one is going to be the different methods, so accept, opt out,
Mm-hmm.
cancel. After that, we're going to provide it like a path to a view function to execute.
Good.
So in this case, it's components.quest.views.accept, and then we provided a name. Just it's useful to provide a name to this URL, because then you don't have to like hard code the URL itself into your templates. You can like use a Django template that you provided a URL name.
Oh, I see.
And then it will resolve the
Okay.
what
Yeah.
the URL should be.
Right. Good. So this is basically gonna end up being a shorthand for this thing.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. So
Well, let's just to keep you honest, let's find out.
wild import.
So it doesn't like these stars because we might not use everything in the package, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you call them packages in Django? What would you call this thing
Yeah,
here?
package.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. All right. So that takes care of URLs.
All right. What else? I guess we could look at templates next, because these are like quest bar stuff.
Okay.
So let's look at quest box first. Yes. So a bunch of HTML and Django tags. So this goes back to like our top level, like where we like have like a mapping file between IDs and classes. So that's
Mhm.
what a lot of these like get ID and classes things mean. So this is like you have a browser? You probably want to look at the quest.
Okay.
Oh,
Can I get back to the user?
right. You can do
Well,
slash home. Right?
Yeah. That won't work.
Right.
Okay, so here we have some quests.
So yeah, that black box is the box that we're looking at.
Let me see if we can get a little more. So we'll go this like this, and then. Okay, so we're all in about this box right now.
Right. So you see the your quest text right there in that H3. So there's a quest box, there's a quest header, and then your quests.
Okay.
And your quests. So we created a link for that help box. So we're floating it on the right.
Okay.
You see
Good.
the icon in there.
Right.
And then we do a clear just to make sure nothing's floating.
Uh-huh.
Right.
How
so
come I
scroll.
can't scroll? There's nothing.
Yeah,
I guess
just
just gonna
scroll.
move. Okay. Well, maybe what I need to do is something like this. Okay.
Okay, scroll down. So we're gonna check if if the user actually has any quests. So we have like this quest template variable that is passed to every template that tracks like the user's quests and their available quests. So if they have any user quests or available quests, we're going to include this quest list that we're going to next. But if it's empty, then there are no quests available.
Oh,
at
I
this
see.
time.
Right. Okay. Got it. Okay. And then quest details.
So this is a little like fancy, like more like JavaScript stuff.
Yeah.
So part of it, like we're going to when we click on each of these like quests and stuff, we're going to populate this.
Let's just click on one. So,
Right, so it has, like, a
having done
description,
that, we
all
got
this
some
stuff.
stuff in there with 3 buttons.
Right.
Okay. So how did that happen?
So when we look at a quest item, we'll see. But basically, it's like populating these divs with the contents of the quest objects.
Okay.
And so it's just doing some like JavaScript to copy from one div to another div, with like
Okay.
a hidden div.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's that.
So let's look into list next. So we're going to iterate over the user quests and available quests. I set a parameter because just to keep things a little generic, we need like a slightly different style for quests that are user quests versus quests that are available quests.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what the with statement is.
Okay.
So we're just going to give it like a true thing, and we're going to iterate over like the user quests, and then for each of those, we're just going to include that quest item.
Okay, which is this little thing here.
Right.
Okay, and this is where we got our
all that text
all the junk. Okay.
And so like you have the so when you first got to the quest, like all you saw was the name, right? So
right.
that's like the first part, the A link at the top. And after that, we have a hidden like description that is not shown.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a display none, and then it has all the information in there.
Okay, got it. Oh, plus the buttons and everything.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of stuff is going on. So the next thing is if user quest. So remember I set like that user quest variable to true. So if this, so this is a user quest, we're going to give it like a slightly different style.
Okay.
And we changed the buttons as well. Like.
Right.
Oh yeah, the styles at the top. But this one's like. You have to be able, like if it's a user quest, you're going to be able to cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if it's an available quest, you need to be able to accept it.
Okay.
So that's what that is. So now you see these like squiggly brace % URL things, and so this is where we use those URL named names.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So in this case, instead of like typing out the URL and hard coding it, I'm just going to say use the quest cancel URL, and we're going to pass it the slug of this quest, and it will generate the URL for me.
Okay. Sweet.
And so display inline. There's this thing called cross-site request forgery. Like there's a exploit in websites. So Django's protection is to insert this token into forms. So we include this like curly brace % CSRF token in there in our forms.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what's going on in here.
Okay. We are almost out of time, so maybe we should just quickly talk about migrations. What that's about? That's about database changes. I guess we can quickly look at it.
Yeah. I will say that I was running like Pilot over like our project, and a lot of things were coming up, and they're all related to migrations. And the problem is that we use this thing called South that does migrations, and it automatically generates this code.
Yeah, and that screws up any static and
analysis.
So maybe we have to exclude everything in the migrations folder when we do lint. That's the obvious solution. Okay, so that's that. We'll get to this in another day, I think, talk about migration. Maybe it's part of the database schema screencast. And then we got this management interface, commands.
So, that manage.py script that you always use, and you put in a command. So there's a way to provide custom commands, and this is the way, like, we provide like a manage.py verify _quest command.
Okay.
And so this is like the so you have to provide like a handle, and so it's going to like validate all of the quests in our.
Oh, this is just to make sure that our condition strings are actually
same.
Groovy. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Well, are we pretty much through quests?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, good. Okay. So we'll stop here. I got to go to my next meeting in 1 minute, and we'll return soon, early next week, maybe Monday.
Sure.
Unless you want to take the day off.
Oh, Monday is like our marathon of meetings.
I know. It might be Tuesday before we get back to this, and then we'll go through the activities, which will be even more complicated.
Right.
But after that, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah. The activities, you'll see a lot of the same things. It's just very dense because there's a lot of things going on.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, George, and we'll see you later.